opportunity to welcome all for this seminar on role of cold chain and Internet of Things in the food industry. We have eminent personalities and the chief guest who is already joined in, the secretary, Mrs. Anita Praveen. So I would straight away go to Dr. Lalit Basi to give us the welcome address for today.
Thank you, Mr. Kumar. On behalf of the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce and as its National Senior Vice President, I welcome all the participants. It is my pleasure and honor to welcome all of you, particularly Ms. Anita Praveen, Secretary, Ministry of Food Processing Industry, Government of India, and Mr. Ron Verdonk, who is the Minister Counselor for Agricultural Affairs of the United States Embassy, as our guest of honor, and also Mr. Ashish Pokedar, Chief Operating Officer in the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, Government of India. We also have the distinguished presence of Mr. Pankaj Mehta, Mr. Bhushan Paralkar, Mr. Neeraj Narula, Mr. Rahul Kapoor, and last but not the least, Mr. P. Sudhir Kumar, who is the distinguished moderator for today's webinar. The webinar is on the issue of cold chain management and the role of IoT. I think IoT stands for Internet on Things. Madam Secretary, one ministry that has incrementally gained importance in the recent years is your ministry. The Ministry of Food Processing, and the reasons are obvious. Foremost is the economic significance of the ministry in terms of fueling growth. Secondly, the contribution it makes towards food security. Thirdly, the efforts your ministry is taking to minimize, if not totally eliminate, the food wastes, having regard to the fact that 1/3 of the perishable foodstuffs are wasted annually. Happily, that ratio is steadily coming down thanks to the efforts of your ministry. Last but not the least, the contribution the food processing sector is making towards generating employment in the country. Distinguished participants, technologies such as 3D printing and self-driving cars, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, once strictly the realm of science fiction, now is the reality. Whilst we already be familiar with the most of these technological advances, even taking many of them for granted, there are still some that remain on the fringe of public awareness, and even more that are on that precarious threshold, bridging dream and reality. 50 years ago, had we discussed the subject of IoTs and cold chain in relation to food or food processing, I shudder to think what would have happened to us. Now such technologies have become part of everyday life. Not only that, the technologies have become incremental and exponential. Every passing year script the advent of more refined and sophisticated technologies. That is an infinite process. I'm not an expert on technology, and I leave it to the experts present there to dwell on that. But I cannot resist sharing my views on technology with a human face. Often technology is associated with accumulation of knowledge and its delivery to the society at large without looking at the end result on mankind. But, and that is important, technologies that can positively impact the human race have a different flavor and appeal. The subject that we are discussing today, cold chain and Internet of Things, is a subject that is directly connected with mankind. Here we are talking about intervention of technology for feeding over 7 billion world population. I feel such technologies should be celebrated and honored. With these words, I once again thank you all to be present here, particularly MS Anita Praveen, the Worthy Secretary, and Mr. Ron Verdong, Mr. Ashish Fotedar, and other eminent speakers. With this now, I hand over the proceedings to the very eminent moderator that we have today, Mr. P. Sudhir Kumar. Over to you, Mr. Kumar.
Thank you, Dr. Lalit Bisin, for the words on the cold chain industry. You definitely said 50 years ago, definitely IoT would have definitely not come into the mind. Even I started my career about 30 years back. So during that time, we just used to have cold storages only for potatoes and some red chili cold storages in India. But now we have come a long way. So let me start with a theme that is role of cold chain and IoT in food industry. Basically, cold chain means maintaining the temperature from the farmer to the fork. You have to maintain a suitable temperature required for the product, be it food or any other product to the end user. But mainly cold chain associates itself with food products. And I would be very proud to say that India's cold chain market, which is now valued at INR 1,585 billion, which is approximately 20 billion US dollars, is going to increase in next 5 years to INR 3,637 billion with a CAGR of 14.72, which is having a phenomenal growth for the cold chain industry. So with this as the theme, cold chain is one of the industry where we all look forward, because every day-to-day needs of food products, the wastage of food products, as Dr. Lalit Basin said, that almost 30%, even though I contradict that 30% is not exclusively due to the cold storage, cold chain wastage. Maybe around 20% will be cold chain wastage, and rest is after it goes to the retailers, and other wastages are also there. We have come a long way from having that 30%, 35% wastage, and cold chain with all these eminent personalities, they will definitely give insight into the cold chain industry. Next, we would discuss on this IoT of things. As you all know, Internet of Things is here to stay. It has come into various sectors, like in manufacturing, production, shipping, and also now into the cold chain industry. IoT of Things is prominently applicable in 3 phases in the cold chain industry. One, I would say the food industry, that is right from the farm levels. You can now have the traceability, like a supermarket having a product can be traced from which area this product has come. So that is where the Internet of Things is helping us. The second part comes on the cold chain things. Earlier days, whatever temperature was maintained in the cold storage was not available to the end user or to the consumer or to the procuring person or the corporate. Now, with the Internet of Things, like I can sit remotely, see in my mobile that what is the temperature being maintained of a food product in a cold storage or in a transport vehicle, so that the quality of the product is maintained, and overall efficiency, and also your wastage gets reduced. So this way IoT helps. And the third thing is in the automation of the machinery, which is required for the cold storage. So this also comes under the Internet of Things with all the cloud management and also various kinds of electronic items which are being installed, like sensors, variable drives, and a lot of things, which is bringing out energy efficiency into the cold chain industry. By bringing in energy efficiency, we are saving a lot of what you call money, and this also will help you. So in principle, the cold chain industry will develop more with the advent of Internet of Things. It will not be a hindrance to the human thing. Definitely human will also be involved. The farmer will be definitely involved because he has to like grow the products, but the products will get a value, and also the vision of the Prime Minister to increase the farmers' income will be definitely helped by the Internet of Things. With these words, I would like to go into the main topics where the eminent personalities are going to give us some presentations, maybe some PowerPoints, or they will give their wisdom to us. Thank you. First, I would like to call Mr. Neeraj Narula, the National Manager of Cold Chain, Danfoss, India. Neeraj is a mechanical engineer with more than 10 years in the cold chain industry, and he is currently heading cold chain business of Danfoss, India. Welcome, Neeraj. Welcome, Neeraj.
Thank you, Sudhir sir, and thanks to Indo-American Chamber of Commerce for giving us this opportunity to share our understanding on how the cold chain is going to evolve with the new set of controls and IoT solutions which are coming up in India and of course in the world as well. So as Sudhir sir mentioned, it is very prominently getting a traction in cold chain that the level of controls, the level of systems which are automating the complete process and which are also automating and delivering the information to different set of people, be it customers, be it logistics people, be it the end users, be it even the mediators or maybe sort of accumulators kind of on a role. So they are also getting a lot of information from the systems nowadays, and it's something which is coming up as a very important chain of information which is traveling along the products, which delivers the kind of what sort of process is being used for this particular product, what sort of temperatures are being maintained for this particular product, and that means that actually delivers the right product to the customer, and then he can ensure that what he is buying at the end of the day is something which is maintained through very right processes. So I'll just share my screen to go on a presentation on Danfoss that I represent. We have the understanding on IoT solutions and other things. Just one second. I hope this is visible.
Yes, sir, it is.
Yeah. So we, being in cold chain, we always talk of the sustainability, as we do have 4 pillars of sustainability. One is the energy, the climate, the food safety, and of course now we are adding up as a digitalization, which is very, very important, and it is changing the total face of the industry that we have in cold chain basically. So we always look forward to have optimized energy consumption, minimum impact to the climate. Food safety is very, very prominent for anything that is happening in cold chain and food processing. And digitalization is again helping us achieve the goals, like we are able to improve the overall processes, the monitoring, and we are able to deliver the satisfaction and the delight to the customer with using this. So when we talk about any cold chain utility infrastructure, we know that the cost of the equipment is just 20% of it. And if we add up the operation or maintenance cost, if we are, let's say, spending 1 lakh rupees in the overall cost of that operation of equipment, the 20 rupees will be the cost of the equipment and 80 rupees will be the operation and maintenance cost only. And out of that, if we really see how much is the electricity cost that comes around, it comes around almost 45% whopping. I mean, for most of the electrical equipment I'm saying here. So that means it's a very substantial part that an equipment is going to spend as an energy bill or an electricity cost. So this is very, very important for us to curb or optimize the energy part, wherein we are able to save a lot of costs in the overall expenditure. So this includes a lot of aspects to it, like refrigeration system efficiency for any cold chain infrastructure becomes very, very important. Boiler capacity management, valves controls, etc., defrosting technologies, heat recovery methods, and efficient and safe system design plus automation part. So nowadays, technology is giving us a lot of opportunities to make much more efficient and much more energy saving equipments, and making the processes much more efficient and smooth. If we really talk about the automation solutions, which all again form three levels basically. One is the equipment control. So there would be automation solutions which will be just going into the equipment part only. There would be couple of equipments or maybe a single equipment which are being controlled within that. Next level comes is the system control, wherein there are multiple set of equipment which are being controlled together. So this basically is encompassing maybe a small area or maybe a small setup of or a complete process in terms of cold chain infrastructure. When it comes to the next level, it is resource control, wherein we are able to manage the complete facility or maybe all the processes which are happening in our premises. And we are monitoring, we are controlling, and we are delivering the information also to the various stakeholders in that. And that's how it basically completes the resource control. There is one more level added nowadays with respect to the advance of the technologies here, the enterprise services. So this is what I think Sudhiji was also mentioning, like this is where the people like customers, maybe the importers and logistics people are getting engaged with the cold chain infrastructure people, wherein they are able to also see how the processes are happening in a cold chain infrastructure, be it in a dairy or a food processing unit. So what all products are being stored, what is the temperature being maintained, and there are various requirements of HCCAP which are requiring a product to be monitored for the temperature controls and other things. So all those aspects are being taken up in the enterprise services, wherein a complete understanding of the whole process is actually delivered to different people. It's generally also called like online or mobile application availability to different people, and then they are able to track whatever they want in terms of product and process and other parameters. So if we talk about equipment control solutions, there would be different solutions which are very, very limited to some specific equipments like control valves or maybe variable frequency drives, but they actually deliver a lot of energy efficiency within that particular equipment level. Then next is something that we go for larger control solutions which encompass a little system or maybe a complete process. So this is the examples would be like hot gas bypass systems and electronic liquid level controllers, etc., purging systems, etc. Once it comes to the resource control, and this is quite complex, and it again depends on what sort of requirements that the customer has. So these are very much customized and customizable. as per the requirements, and it starts from hardware, and there are a lot of other equipment that are added to it, which are basically able to deliver the information and the monitoring and control capabilities to different stakeholders. They could be sitting at any place, like any place in the world, so they would be able to have a control and monitoring happening in the facility or the premises wherein this system is actually installed. So this is where the digital communication actually adds a lot of flexibility and the information capabilities to the whole control process. So we can say that these are the things which are actually started getting implemented nowadays in the industry, and this is something which is being taken up by various industry people. This is going to make a lot of changes in terms of the consumers preference as well. Like they would also like to prefer those products wherein they have complete information on how the processes are being taken up for that particular product to be processed. So this is something which is adding in a new dimension altogether to the control systems.
Neeraj,
I'll just skip a couple of slides. Yeah.
Mr. Neeraj, you need to wind up.
I'll just, yeah, this is the last slide here. So this is how we can look at the optimization of overall operation costs. So individual component that we can look at to improve the efficiency and add the automation controls, and maybe it is something of the enterprise control or at enterprise resource control, which could be leading us to the top level of automation in that. So that's all. I'll just stop here, and thanks for giving this opportunity.
Thank you, Neeraj, for this presentation on how Danfoss is contributing to the cold chain industry. Next, I would like to call upon Mr. Pankaj Mehta, who's currently the Managing Director of Carrier Transicold India and Southeast Asia. And Mr. Pankaj Mehta has an experience of 30 years in this field of cold chain. He is widely regarded in this field. He is the co-chairman of National Task Force, and also in various CAI task force he is a member. And also one interesting, when I was going through his biodata, he is an ex-Indian Navy for 9 years. Welcome, Mr. Pankaj, for your words on cold chain industry.
Thank you, Sudhir. I hope I'm audible.
Yeah, you're audible.
Yeah. So good morning, everyone. And at the outset, let me thank the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce for this opportunity. If you can move to my slides. Yeah, next, please. So I think the need for a safe, sustainable, and connected cold chain to preserve and protect supply of food, pharmaceuticals, vaccines has never been greater than what we see today. We've all gone through 2 years of a very challenging pandemic. We have challenges on food wastage. We have issues of food security. So I think this is the most important topic today that we are discussing, is a effective cold chain. And in support of this critical need, Carrier launched the Healthy, Safe, Sustainable, and Intelligent Cold Chain program. This is designed to help customers meet the rapidly evolving supply chain demands and make their cold chain activities more effective. You're all aware that in India, the cold chain system is constantly evolving. It has grown steadily as a result of government initiatives, private sector, and also increased compliance and cold chain awareness through events like this. Cold chain acceptance has also now percolated to the smaller town, tier 2, tier 3 towns, and will further bolster growth in India. And it will definitely impact issues that we just mentioned about safe transportation of vaccines and food wastage. With over 25 years in India, I think Carrier is very well positioned to understand the market needs and meet its requirements. So we move on to the connected cold chain. So a stronger, more effective cold chain is one where the various stages of the cold chain are linked, helping different elements work better together, providing greater visibility and control. So at Carrier, we have been making moves towards creating a connected cold chain by developing innovative technologies and collaborating with Amazon Web Services to develop the Lynx digital platform. Now, this platform uses advanced IoT, machine learning, analytics technologies to better connect the cold chain in the cloud, automate key processes, and develop real-time visibility and insights throughout the cargo's journey. These steps can help reduce cost and wastage across the network by delivering faster, more intelligent, data-driven decisions. I think that is where the difference comes in. I mean, what does IoT? Please move back. I will let you know when we have to change the slide. If you can go back to the previous slide. Thank you. So, Carrier Lynx Fleet empowers our customers to remotely monitor and control refrigeration equipment and help track their consignments with a strict watch over temperature integrity. What does IoT do? I mean, we saw my colleague Neeraj from Danfoss talk about controls effectiveness. We heard Sudhir talk about the need for it. At the end of it, it has to make the cold chain, the supply chain more effective, reduce inefficiencies in the system. Next, please. So, next slide.
Next slide, please.
So today's cold chain, as you see, is fragmented across the different modes, across the different aspects of the cold chain. Customers using the advanced Lynx platform will benefit from end-to-end tracking. I mean, we can actually track a cargo right from production to the consumption. It gives real-time alerts, automates processes, predictive analysis to help them deliver temperature-controlled cargo more effectively, which in turn decreases the cost of cold chain operation by optimizing resource utilization, cargo losses, and spoilage. So IoT solutions actually add a new dimension to Carrier's range of products and not only help fleet operators meet efficiency and sustainable goals, but also enables them to achieve a sustainable cold chain. Next slide, please. So where does all this lead? Providing fresh food and medication to people around the world, ensuring the safe storage and transportation of vaccines, reducing waste, caring for the environment, bringing it all together with unprecedented connectivity and visibility. These are the moves that matter. These are the moves that do good for the people and the planet. And at Carrier, we are the only company equipped to making them. So Carrier operates at the nexus of climate, digital, environmental technology, and sustainability. And we will continue to drive this. We'll be at the forefront of defining the next era of a healthy, safe, sustainable, and intelligent cold chain. Thank you. Back to you, Sudhir.
Thank you, Pankaj, for the lovely presentation on what Carrier is doing for the temperature control right from the farmer to the fork. Next, I would like to call Mr. Bhushan Paralkar, who is an accomplished supply chain solution provider and with the 16 years of experience. Mr. Bhushan is an IIM alumni of Bangalore, and he has worked in various organizations and currently is working with Snowman Logistics. Over to you, Mr. Bhushan.
Thank you, Mr. Sudhir. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, IACC, for having me here today. And most of the points are touched by Mr. Pankaj and Neeraj and Dr. Lalit as well. I would like to again repeat a few points and adding a few more bullet points over here to the audience. And so to start with the Indian cold chain industry, the cold chain industry is growing around 14.6% CAGR, and Here our mission is safe food distribution to the end consumer. So the most important point over here is better food safety. The use of IoT sensor, the topic what we are discussing today on the IoT in cold chain industry, which is very important for having a good food safety and distribution of food at consumer level. So the IoT is playing a vital role in cold chain environment. Like as a Snowman Logistics, we have a presence in all over India. We have 44 warehouses all over India and having 1.3 pallet capacity and 300 plus reefer vehicles. So organizing the capacity and cold chain transportation, which is very important of tracking the real-time temperature. This is basically enable organization to closely monitor the food safety at each point, right from the source to destination, as we rightly discuss on farm to fork concept, and giving the consistent data for the analysis and the further food safety solutions. So use of the technology can help industry to track the temperature, humidity, and air to monitor and control the cold storage and vehicle, and sending the instant notification at every event to take the necessary or correct action to avoid food wastages. So we discuss on the food safety, and the next bullet point I would like to mention over here about supply chain tech visibility. So this IoT sensors and IoT technology is giving the complete food tech visibility to consumer and even the organization at every level, right from the manufacturing unit to the retail store, and sometime it is up to the end consumer. So this transparency is very important at the food safety. So the food should reach to the consumer at highly safe manner. Yeah, I mean, having the IoT, there are challenges, and the issues should be addressed at every level. The most of the maintenance is preventive or reactive rather than operative. Thus, business can use the remote equipment to monitor to predict these issues before they arise. This will save definitely effort and money. So the takeaway from these bullet points, what we discussed, from the farm to fork traceability, the applications of IoT and in agriculture or in food industry are indefinite. It helps to in supply chain traceability and significantly reduce wastages. Also, the implementation of IoT solution brought some significant transformation in food safety. The implementation of IoT devices brought good visibility right from the source to destination, and it assists food manufacturer to maintain their highest quality and standards at every time, every level without fail. So these are the key points I would like to mention in this forum. Mr. Sudhir, I think you are on mute.
Thank you, Mr. Bhushan, for your insights. You are from the industry who is helping out the farmers, bringing out their products, keeping it in the cold storage and giving it to the consumers. You are the bridge between the farmer and the consumer. Thank you for your insights.
Thank you very much.
Next, we will proceed to the next speaker. This is Mr. Rahul Kapoor, who is an expert in cold chain for the past 18 years. He is currently working as Assistant Director of Sales and Marketing in Carrier. He is also has 18 years experience, and welcome, Mr. Rahul. Mr. Rahul?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Sudhir. Thank you. I would like to thank everybody here on the panel, Ma'am Parveen, everybody, my co-panelists, for giving me this opportunity, American Chamber of Commerce. And further to all the panelists, what you have said, I would like to now, extend my thought process, specifically more on the stationary cold chain side, and how as Carrier, we have been contributing, and what's the vision we have on this subject. So I just share my screen here. So further to what Pankaj has already, spoken about Carrier, as an organization, we've had this, long thought process, which defines that it's not only the commercial aspect of the business, but the solution and the customer perspective is that what matters the most. And it's the confidence, what we do aspires us to every day bring a better technology on board with the help of our technology partners across the world. These are, some of our industry-leading brands, and when most of you look at these pictures, this gives you a clear indication that Carrier is not only about the HVAC or the refrigeration or the transi-cold. It's about the cohesive approach we want to bring on table for our customers, which includes not only the sustainable solutions, not only involve the refrigeration, both on the farm side or the folk side, but this also involves, what is going to be the future of refrigeration, both on the stationary side and on the transport side from 10 years from now. So all what we are talking today, we have already taken our baby steps few years back, and now we are at a level where we can confidently talk to this forum and the forums, across the globe, where we can confidently talk about the solutions specifically on the Internet of Things, sustainability, digitalization, and how are they going to transform the refrigeration industry moving forward. So this slide has been partially covered by Pankaj already, so I'll not spend much time here. But all in all, our roadmap is to connect farm to folk, not only through our equipment, but through our technology, through the IoT. So that if Snowman Logistics is getting a pizza cheese from Dynamics Dairy, say in Pune or Baramati, we do not only offer Snowman Logistics our refrigeration solution, we offer them the technology which can help them see through the temperature of that product, starting from the source till the point it is brought to the store, and for the last mile delivery as well. So that's the long-term vision the organization has. As Mr. Sudhir and Mr. Lalit, started the discussion by talking about 30% wastage, and Mr. Sudhir said it could be effectively 20%. All in all, it's like, we have enough food in this world to feed the entire population of the globe. But because of this 20, 30, 10% wastage, whatever happens throughout the supply chain process, unfortunately, even today, 20% of the population sleeps hungry, or they are malnutrition, or whatever we eat as a good people on this earth, we don't get the nutritional value from the fruits or from the vegetables or from the food products what we should get. So all in all, we have a strong belief as this IoT, as this digital platform, they start taking place, they start, progressing through the bits and pieces. We are not only going to help this whole universe get the food on the table, we are going to help them get the good food on the table, which has high nutritional value, which has the right amount of protein, right amount of carbohydrates as it should have. So all in all, this technology is not only going to help us sail through this, it is also going to add a social cause to this whole purpose. Digital is definitely, one of our prime vision for the next 5 years. And digital solutions with the support from Amazon Web Services or the link platforms are definitely going to enhance our experience, our customer experience with our customers. No doubt about that. Now coming to my subject, which is on the cold chain side. for which we have, a leading panelist, Mr. Ashish Potedar also, who would be taking care of or speaking on this subject. It gives me a great privilege, to tell you that our new factory in Qingdao has been set up considering IoT or the digitalization as the forefront of the technology. We have already started producing our condensing units or the refrigeration systems, which has these remote monitoring devices, which can monitor the temperatures, the pressures, pre-diagnostics to avoid any kind of failures in the equipment. They can pre-diagnose it and raise the alarm. So our customers, as and when would want, they will be able to call people at the first call so that they avoid the larger setback. So as an industry leader, we assure the forum here and all the participants on this webinar that we have the technologies already present in today, which can offer you the IoT solutions, which can help you pre-diagnostic any failures which may arise in future. This will help you ensure that your technicians and supervisors are aware of the correct parameters, running parameters of the equipment. And all in all, it will not only help us reduce the energy consumptions, but also the failure rate. I move to my next slide. These are the various ways, we have been able to offer energy saving solutions, digital solutions to our customers. And every phase of this and every part of this whole program, we have been able to bring some amount of energy, save some amount of power, and bring more and more technology on the field. So these are certain ways. In my next slide, without naming one of biggest Indian MNC, I would like to show you how we help them save almost 35% power by using Internet of Things. So this MNC had, multiple retail counters. They had multiple cold rooms under one roof, which were working on, different condensing units or common rack kind of a platform. When we brought technology into their warehouse and we assembled everything together and brought the Internet of Things in place, which could sense that what time at the night or the day the temperatures are running, what's the compressor running condition, how many hours light is on and how many hours the light is off, how many hours door is kept open during loading, unloading, what's the compressor on, compressor off frequency. And when we put this whole thing together in a laptop at their office and showed them the diagnostics, and they took certain corrective actions based upon the feedback given, the result is right here on your slide, that the power consumption on a daily basis came down from almost 1,200 units to little more than 800 units. I think this slide here is, what we have been all talking about, and I would like to thank American Chamber of Commerce to give us this opportunity to share, such kind of reports in this platform. And I assure you on behalf of Carrier and other participants as well, if customers get a little more aware of what we can offer as an industry, it is going to be a win-win solution for everybody. And technology is definitely going to help everyone in whichever sphere we talk. This is our core strength area, the whole turnkey projects, wherein we would not only like to give our equipment, but give you the complete solution, including the digitalization, IoT, and everything. I look forward to getting certain questions if there are from the forum here. Thank you.
Thank you, Rahul, for the nice presentation. What Carrier has come up with IoT of things and in power saving field. Thank you, Rahul.
Thank you.
Next, I would like to call the guest of honor for today, Mr. Ron Verdonk. He is the Minister Counselor for Agriculture Affairs in India from 2021 January. Previously, he was the Minister Counselor for US Embassy in Seoul, and he has worked in various other assignments. And he's also worked, I was seeing his resume says that he's worked in the farms. So he is the right man to give us his perspective on the cold chain industry and also on the IoT of things. Welcome, Mr. Ron.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr.
And thanks so much, Mr. Kumar and Nilu, and I IACC for the invitation to participate in today's most important webinar. I always welcome the chance to learn more and examine more closely different facets of the agricultural and food chain from farm to fork, as Rahul mentioned, that events like today's dig into. Moreover, I'm always interested to learn more about the Internet of Things and the importance of cold chain as well, and how the one is further enhancing the other that Rahul also just mentioned and talked about. Obviously, the value of the cold chain, especially during these days over the past few months, could not be more apparent. I don't think there's any question that technology, that is to say hardware, software, and its applications, will fortify the chain and get us closer to still fresher and better kept products. So I think this webinar today is especially timely. In terms of the United States and India and what we're doing in business and the larger relationship, as many of you are aware, the trading relationship is robust and expanded considerably in 2021. Exports of goods in both directions set new records, with India's exports in the United States approaching $75 billion in value, and US exports to India last year of just over 40 billion were also a record. In terms of the bilateral trading relationships, including certain products that move through the cold chain, for India, there was no more important partner than the United States last year. And by far, the US was the market with which Indian exporters have developed the largest trade surplus. Because again, as we all understand, year to year, India, much like the United States, runs a trade deficit. But it is the case that with the United States, India has a significant trade surplus, just over $30 billion in goods last year. And then when it comes to foreign direct investment, and companies like Carrier that's represented on today's panel can well attest, depending on the year, US companies represent the largest or among the most important investors in the Indian economy. US investment in India in fiscal year 2021 exceeded 13 billion US, with the approximate cumulative value of US foreign direct investment in India in excess of $42 billion. Similarly, the overall value of Indian investment in the US economy is valued in the tens of billions in US dollars. So obviously and clearly a very robust, deep, and I dare say broadening bilateral relationship on so many fronts between our two countries. And certainly when we talk about the Internet of Things and fortifying, strengthening, growing the cold chain, we are part and parcel. We are part of that process, and American companies, U.S. multinationals, are present, the likes of which we've heard from already on today's panel. Obviously, there's no question that this fundamental component of the food supply chain, that is to say the cold chain and its logistics, will continue to grow in importance as consumers shift purchasing over time to more developed forms of retail. And this will necessarily expand demand for cold chain infrastructure. At the same time, as the Indian agriculture and food economy increases efficiency and pursues strategies to cut product waste, spoilage, and losses, there will be an increased focus, right, on achieving higher rates of product quality via an improved cold chain network. For sure, information technology is part and parcel of the strengthened, more far-reaching chain of food product handling and the storage evolution that has taken place and continues to further develop. US manufacturers are among the leaders in advancing the technology and creating the state of the art. Again, Many of you, if not all of you, are aware US companies are very much represented in the cold chain industry here. We've heard from representatives today from Carrier, Pankaj and Rahul, and several of these companies, including Carrier, right, do manufacturing in India, and they are part of that FDI of US company presence in this market. Without a doubt, when it comes to the supply of more food products to move through this ever-evolving supply chain, US food processors and exporters stand ready to do business with the Indian trade to help maximize the use of the cold chain. And no question, we are in constant contact with Indian government counterparts, looking at market access, trying to get the door open, if you will, for additional commodities and products from the United States coming into the market here in India. But truthfully speaking, when it comes to things that would be handled through the cold chain, there are fewer barriers to market entry than with other products. So, and that's a good thing. But in conclusion, I would say that economic, commercial, and trade relations between our two countries are strong and strengthening, despite our not having an FTA, and given the reality that it's not likely that such an agreement will be negotiated anytime soon. The reality is that business marches forward. I trust that everyone is getting value from today's webinar, and once again, I thank the IACC for putting this together. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ron, for your insights into the trade relations between the US and India and scope for more improvement. Thank you. I would like to call next Mr. Ashish Potedar, the next guest of honor, who is the CEO of National Center for Cold Chain Development, shortly called NCCD. Mr. Potedar comes with a 23-year experience in the field of cold chain sector. He has worked in various companies like Blue Star, Motherson Zanotti, and Emerson Climate Technologies before becoming the CEO. Welcome, Mr. Ashish Potedar.
Thank you, Sudhir ji. Good afternoon, Madam Secretary Mokpi, Mr. Ron, Mr. Counselor for Agricultural Affairs, US Embassy, and other esteemed and distinguished guests and speakers. I thank IACC for allowing me to present my views on this webinar, Role of Cold Chain and IoT in Food Industry. IoT in cold chain is absolutely a necessity since it involves an operation where perishable goods packed in controlled conditions need to maintain these stringent conditions till destination is reached and product delivered. Otherwise, the well-to-do report of produce is prerogative of goods receiver, and that does not define the mode of business the industry wants to achieve in this sector. A lot can go wrong, particularly in the logistics sides of the cold chain, but IoT devices and its sensors have tried to mitigate those risks and coherently ensure that substantial data is collected and monitored during the transit. This has also ensured a proactive approach and timely action to prevent any loss or damage to produce, which otherwise is not possible. There are certain challenges presently like internet connectivity in remote villages, sturdiness of devices, etc. But with time, these small hurdles and hindrances will allow us to invent new technologies and methods which will be more modern and sturdy. Now, as a part of NCCD, I will like to focus on 2-3 aspects of the cold chain. Mr. Neil spoke about energy efficiency and automation. It's very important part of designing. Automation should involve automated material handling systems and automated control of plant rooms through automated controllers and microprocessors, which allow flexibility to users in terms of diagnostics and optimization of energy usage in a project. I'll touch 2 critical things in the cold chain today, which is climate and the other is energy efficiency, which Mr. Sudhir also had a word on energy efficiency. Like with rising energy cost, reducing cost is a large objective which is to be met. This can be achieved through reducing energy usage and using technology which promotes high coefficient of performance, and works on the principle of demand cooling. The design of the stores and how it is used are vitally important aspects of minimizing the energy usage. Cold stores also contribute to direct emissions through loss of refrigerants, and as such, the use of environment-friendly, low global warming potential refrigerant is a significant issue to the current market. As you may be aware that as a country, India is signatory to Montreal Protocol as well as to its ratified amendment known as Kigali Amendment. The Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change is playing key role with other various stakeholders have underlined key action points in cold chain sector regarding climate change to ensure that India achieves its key objectives as defined in these protocols. It's very important to know that as a country, we are progressing rapidly in the development of cold chain with focus on technology, which promotes energy efficiency and simultaneously ensuring that we protect our environment and disallow rapid and hazardous climate changes. And IoT will play a major role in achieving this. I would also like to emphasize that present facilitative framework, which is present dispensation of resources, policies, are effective guidance to the development of cold chain infrastructure in country. And briefly, they are as under. The government of India is extending financial support ranging from 35 to 50% for creation of cold storage capacity through various agencies like National Horticulture Board, National Horticulture Mission, Ministry of Food Processing Industries, Agriculture and Processed Food Export Development Authority, and NABARD. 100% FDI is permitted through automatic route in the food processing sector. 100% income tax exemption available to new food processing, preservation, and packaging units for the first 5 years of operation, and at the rate of 25% to 30% thereafter. Interest subventions on loans available under Agriculture Infrastructure Fund. I would now conclude my today's views with the understanding that we will renew our focus on the use of renewable energy sources, which are likely to play a key role in reducing the environmental impact of the energy used by the cold storages, ensuring and minimizing direct and indirect impact of all type of refrigerants, cold chain solutions which propagate improved design, use of modern technologies to ensure that we keep on progressing fast along with our goal of sustainable growth, clean environment, and reduced energy consumptions. As presented by Mr. Pankaj Mehta, work on connected and safe cold chain is also recommended. I thank you once again for listening to me patiently, and thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Ashish, for your wonderful insights into what the government is doing to the cold chain industry. And I take this opportunity to thank you once again for attending this webinar and giving the insights of the government. Thank you. Next, I would like to call today's chief guest, Mrs. Anita Praveen, who is the Secretary of Ministry of Food Processing Industries. Madam has a vast experience of more than 30 years, and she's worked as Special Secretary for Food Processing Industries. Before that, she's worked in Ministry of Communications as Special Secretary and Additional Secretary. And the list goes long, Madam, so I will stop it short. There are a lot of secretary posts you have held. I would now welcome you to give her the special address.
Thank you so much. It was really interesting listening to all the presenters making wonderful presentation regarding the cold chain facilities that they have been providing. And I must also appreciate, before we proceed for the address that I'm supposed to make, that Mr. Sudhir, you have been an excellent anchor. You maintained the timelines so well that we are well within the time to complete the session with a lot of interest generated with a lot of presentations that happened. So thank you for that to you specifically. India as a country has been increasing its agriculture production, and we are a large producer of a lot of products, where we also hold the position of probably #1 in a large number of items that we products that we make. We also export, but yes, our share in the export market is not very high. We look at a figure of 2 to 3% in the world trade, which for me is a very small number, and we must be making this number much bigger. I know the US is excellent in food market and at the top of the list. So congratulations for that to Mr. Ron. The volumes that India produces is adequate to feed its population. Today, we don't hear the stories of people going without food, but we also hear stories about a lot of food getting wasted. That is an area of concern. In fruits, fresh fruits and vegetables, I think after consumption and whatever processing we do, we still manage to waste 10 to 15%, depending on what kind of product we are talking about. And that's very disheartening because that should not happen. We as a country should make sure it's a responsibility on the food processing ministry, on the cold chain service providers, that this should not happen. It's not just food, it's also pharma, where there is a very important role that is being played by the cold chain industry. And as pointed out by one of the speakers during the COVID times, it has really showed how important this sector is for health sector as well, not just food sector. So glad that this webinar is happening, and it's a very important topic on which we are talking about. Use of technology in the cold chain sector cannot be spoken enough about. We need to really have a lot of IoT coming into the food technology sector. We have large volumes to handle. IoT is necessary for that. We need to reduce wastage, as I said. We need to have optimum energy usage. If a cold storage is working at a very low temperature while the product which is stored is not requiring that kind of temperature, we are only wasting power. So the use of IoT to ensure that from a far off place also someone can control temperatures rather than someone really sitting there and doing it or not doing it at all is a very good possibility that we should be looking at. We need to have efficient cold chain for reduction in logistics cost also. The faster the products are evacuated from the farm, from the production centers, the better. So that brings down the cost, that brings down the wastage, and that's what we are looking at. We are also looking at efficient monitoring and evaluation of whatever action we take in the agriculture field. For large volumes, that is a very, very important component, and with the help of your cold chain and cold chain assisted by the IoT, that is where we are looking at. That is what we hope that in future, we will be in a position to have very, very advanced IoT facilities available for the food processing sector, for the pharma sector. The evacuation of food, when we have been talking about all through, has been from the industry to the table or to the point of export, to the point of sales. An area of concern for all of us should be from the point of farm to the production center. That's some place where we really need to start looking at very seriously, because you see the farmer is forced to sell the produce at much lower price the moment he's finished his harvesting. Facilities created closer to the production center are definitely going to help the farmer hold the products. It is also a good business opportunity for the sector. We need to work towards that area also. The exports, as we do today, needs a lot of track and tracing, and the data is required extensively by importing countries, and we would look forward to this system getting supported by the IoT under the cold chain sector as well as otherwise also. IoT is not just for the cold chain, it could be useful for other part of the sector also. So that's something that is very encouraging, and people looking at these areas really give me a sense of, comfort that we are approaching where we are targeting ourselves to be. The food processing sector is something that needs to not just stay in an island of its own. I'm sure all of us sitting in the webinar are aware of the new project which is called the Gati Shakti. You may be aware that this Gati Shakti has that's the plan at the moment, that it will have complete information about the telecommunication facilities available, the roads, the civil aviation related information, railways, all infrastructure grids are going to be layered and will be available for each one of us to use for the best of the sector. So probably it's time we start building a grid map for the cold chain facilities available also. This is something that I have an idea in my mind that this should be layered upon the Gati Shakti maps that are being prepared. And once these are available and the sector is able to connect using the roads and using the facilities, transport facilities available, we may have a much more efficient system at our command. I would really request you to think about it, to come and have discussions with the Food Processing Ministry, where we can integrate with the Gati Shakti program of the Government of India, and to look at the possibility of utilizing this for efficient and most, cost-effective usage for the sector. So we are at your disposal. The industry should take us as your allies in this matter. We are available with the PM-KSY scheme, where the cold chain projects are constructed. Wherever you need funding, we will be looking at the possibilities of supporting you. We have looked at the PLI possibilities, where large funding is going for production also. So whenever you require, the Food Processing Ministry is at your disposal. Feel free to get in touch with you. And I look forward to excellent collaboration happening with the association, with the members and the ministry. Thank you so much.
Thank you, madam, for the wonderful speech. You have been a very good encouragement for us, and you have given us wide areas of interest where we can approach you. And definitely the Gati Shakti is a big initiative by the government, and we would like to tap that potential for the cold chain and IoT. Thank you very much, madam, for giving us your time and spending for the whole seminar. Thank you. Dr. Lalit.
Sir, I think you can, I don't think the sir is there. We can wait. Sir is here, yes.
Chair, I would like to thank the secretary for sparing so much of time and attending the webinar right from the beginning till the end. You see, that shows the commitment of the ministry and personally that of the secretary. And we are very grateful to her for sparing so much time.
I think Dr. Lalit's connection is disrupted.
Sir, the questions we have received, so I think we can answer them offline.
Yeah, okay. I think, can you propose the vote of thanks?
Sir, I would request Dr. Basim to do that, but if he's not there.
I think his line is getting disconnected.
Sir, then I would request you to please do that.
Okay, I thank you for attending this seminar. I thank the secretary for spending so much of time, Ms. Anita Praveen and Mr. Ron Verdon and Mr. Ashish Fotedar for spending more than 1 hour and attending this seminar, and also all the eminent personalities, and also Dr. Lalit Basim specifically for sitting for about 1 hour during his busy schedule in the morning. Thank you very much to all of you and all participants, and especially a special round of thanks for the organizers of the IACC, Neelu ji and others who are involved in this. Thank you. Thank you.
Special thanks to Kashish and Neelu and the entire team.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We'll meet you again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.